Hello, everyone, and welcome in to another episode of the Heel Brothers podcast. Well, unfortunately, it would seem that we had some internet issues last week, and we were not able to do any shows whatsoever. Not only did Heel Brothers miss out, for Tori, I'm Nathan, also missed out. Thankfully, those things have been resolved today, and we are finally back to cover quite a lot of things and events that have happened. We've had the Syracuse game. We've had the Miami game. Those two games are now over with. North Carolina sits, as we stand today, 6-0 on the 2023-2024 football campaign. I am very, very excited. There's a reason the UNC UVA logo is not there, is because we are not doing anything with that today. That is not today. So, we got a lot to cover, dude. We got a lot to cover, got a lot to look at. And not only are we going to be kind of recapping a little bit of what happened over the previous 2 weeks, some questions I want to throw out to Mr. Allen, in which we'll have some hopefully some good dialogue, some good back and forth there over the next little bit.
Hey.
I'm not feeling too good. I've got a little something going on. So if I clear my throat a lot, I apologize in advance. I think it's some of this, South Carolina weather that we've got going on, where you get, all 4 seasons in a day as we prepare for the winter months and the fall months coming ahead. But first sip of the day.
Oh, well,
Now,
I got a whole smorgasbord of Sour Patch Kids here. So,
as a matter of fact, it's kind of funny that you bring that up, because Ariel got me this boo basket. I'll send you a picture of it, dude. It's got all kinds of stuff in it, and I actually have zombie Sour Patch Kids. Dear God, did y'all raid Sam's Club or something?
200 packs of Sour Patch. Different.
God.
Sour Patch Watermelon, Sour Patch Tropical Punch, and Swedish Fish. If you can't find something like in this bag, well, you're just not going to find it.
No joke. Good Lord.
Yep.
So you take care of that. I've got a little bit of Pepsi Zero today.
I got some of that nice circle flavored
How do
water.
you like that? Is that good?
It's good. It's good.
Like that?
I'm not gonna drink
people getting it. Huh?
I'll drink a lot more water with it.
Yeah, well, I can't really take regular water, but I don't know. As of recently, I've been
especially when I'm at home. When I'm at home, this is all I drink out of.
How often do you run through those little containers?
I probably get 6 water bottles out of mine. I think I rotate between a 3 and a 4 setting.
Mm-hmm.
So I get 4 to 5 water bottles out of one.
That's not too bad then.
Yeah.
Well, that also depends on how much you drink during the day, though, as well.
It probably lasts about 3 days.
Well, that's good.
So $1 a day, I guess you could say, because I think the refills are $3 and some change.
No, it's not bad. They got a big, vast variety of flavors.
Yeah. Anywhere from hydrates to actives, which it has a small dose of caffeine in them. Then you just got your tea, your sweet teas, your lemonades and stuff like that. Just for
right.
Yeah,
shoot, that sounds pretty good. I have to look at that. I know they sell them at Walmart a lot now. But
I'm a smorgasbord.
Let's talk about some UNC football, man. So a lot of stuff has happened.
It's been a while.
It's been since they were 4-0
that
we last spoke. They have won 2 games since then. The Syracuse game, in which they won 40-7 and completely dominated that game. Just briefly, really quick, amazing game by the Tar Heels all the way around, man. I thought they did really well. Tez Walker coming back, and this is his first. That was his first game back, and he was really just kind of running out there. And he got 6 catches for 43 yards or something along those lines. Got a couple of cool catches there, and Nate McCullum really showed out in that game. Then we get to this past weekend, as UNC took on Miami in Chapel Hill. Now, this was a big game coming in. Miami had lost that one to Georgia Tech, kind of sparingly there for the last second, seemingly trying to stat pad. But I guess that's what you get when you try to play the game. The game will play you. That's for sure. And sure enough, they lost that game. But Miami came in and really gave it to the Tar Heels, and the Tar Heels took everything they had, dished it right back out, and came out on top 41-31. The Tar Heels prevail. There's so many different avenues I want to go down, so many questions I want to ask you. And I guess now is where I want to ask you this. When you look at the Tar Heels right now, as we sit 6-0, what has been the most surprising thing about them? What has surprised you most about the season? Going all the way back to, the offseason where all the different stereotypes of the team, they're soft, they have this to prove, this, that, and the fourth. What has been the most surprising thing to you in these first 6 games?
Probably the defensive line play has probably been the most surprising.
I like that.
You want me to extrapolate? Do you? Is that what you want?
Yeah, a little bit.
No,
yeah.
No, I mean, not. I mean, yeah. So the defensive lines, I think, has been well above average. Oh well, a lot better than last week, or not last week, last year, and as far as production, as in not only sacks but more or less pressure on the QB. Because even if you can't get sacks, you still want to get pressure. And in one of our past pods, I threw out some stats about how much, or the lack thereof, pressure that UNC was able to create even when blitzing. Those stats from last season, I don't have them pulled up anymore, but I was looking at them a couple weeks ago, have for the most part doubled. So if we're saying that, I think there was a stat where UNC only got pressure on 20% of its blitzes. I think, no, that's not the exact percentage from last season. I know it was in the 20s. But this season, and this is also is not going to be an exact percentage, but UNC has gotten pressure on, pressured or hurried the QB a little over close to 50% on its blitzes. That's you're doubling your production right there. Kamen Rucker is a monster. He's recorded 6.5 sacks through 6 weeks. So he's a force to be reckoned with. I think the past 2 weeks, Miles Murphy has really come into his own, anchoring the tackle spot and anchoring the interior part of the defensive line. But the most, what I found most surprising is Miami came in averaging close to 200 yards rushing a game, and the UNC's defense limited them to under 100. And on the flip side of that coin,
I believe.
And on the flip side of that coin, Miami came in with the number 1 rush defense in the country, only allowing 58 yards, and Amari Hampton goes for 197 yards by himself. And the crazy stat about that is Amari Hampton had 197 yards rushing, and on not one of his rushing attempts did he have a negative rushing yard, like a tackle. He was not tackled for a loss. Oh, and
I absolutely do not disagree with you there on the defensive line play, but one of the most surprising things for me, as a matter of fact, has been that running game you just spoke of. You saw the dynamic duo of Amari Hampton and British Brooks starting out the year against South Carolina. They did great. British had a great game. Amarian, comes into his own. As the season has progressed, Amarian has switched to running back 1, which we all believed would happen eventually. If he didn't start out RB1, you kind of figured at some point in time the reins would be passed to him. And this guy against Power Fives, he had that big game against App State, has been having some issue with Power 5, but then finally this past week against Miami just comes out and rolls, and you're starting to see the growth in him and the vision that he has started to learn and to understand, not just, hey, let me grab the ball, put my head down and truck people over like I used to do in high school, understanding I can't do that anymore. I've actually got to be very decisive of hitting my gaps at the right time, seeing defenders where they're coming from, these juke moves, using, making sure I'm getting in good position so my lineman can block for me. That way I can hit the holes at the right moment, getting out in space, being able to get into the second and third levels. I think that is huge for North Carolina. And it absolutely adds a wrinkle in when you start to play these better teams. Clemson last year, North Carolina couldn't really run on them because, they'd shut that down and said, all right, beat us through the passing game, and everybody started to drop 8 on us last year because, hey, we didn't have a running game. And now we seemingly have, have astonished that and established that throughout these 6 weeks. I'm just really happy with the running game, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think there was another crazy stat to where Marion Hampton had. So if it's 197 rushes, I think he had 150 some odd yards after contact.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Dude's awesome, man. He is built like a freight train, just running through people, and I think it's amazing. People just don't seem to be able to tackle him. Even like he gets into that second level, people are still having issues tackling him.
Miami safeties, I mean, they're like Cam Chancellor big.
Yeah,
and they're both NFL type safeties, and they still had problems bringing him down. That quote unquote business decision.
Yeah, they do have issues.
I will say this: early in that first quarter, on one of his first runs, I think it was number 20 for Miami. Marion came through the hole, and that number 20 put the hit stick on him, and you heard it, and he straight out just floored Marion Hampton. That might have been that's probably the biggest hit that I've seen a Marion Hampton or any North Carolina player take. Well, maybe outside of the one that Ben Kiernan took that turned his face mask into sheet metal. But the hit that Marion Hampton took, it coming out run as soon as he cleared the line of scrimmage, got on the other side of Miami's defensive line, that safety came down and cracked him. And I was like, oh, man, if they're going to do this, this is going to be a long game if this happens. But I guess that pissed Marion off, and he just – from then on out, he was pretty much a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, his stats really quick. He's at 112 carries, 658 yards, and 8 touchdowns this year. That's pretty daggum good for the true sophomore.
112 carries, 600 some odd yards, or what? Right at 6 yards a carry.
Give or take, something like that. Yeah. Yep. As a matter, 5.9. So basically 6 yards a carry.
I mean, you'll take that on first down any day.
Oh, absolutely. If you can get into a part where you're second and four, and 9 times out of 10, heck, you'll take that. No problem. Short fieldage, able to get your first downs. And not only that, let's talk about this wide receiver group. Now, we have had an injury, unfortunately, to one Kobe Paysour, who's played really good this year. He has really come into his own as well. He is a great pickup, just a multi-tool for North Carolina, is always just in the spot when you need him to be there.
Second team in receptions.
And yeah, he is absolutely lighting up the teams out here, and it's awesome, man. Yeah, I am extremely excited for that kid, and he's going to be big time. I actually think he could have like probably a decent pro career, as a matter of fact.
Well,
if he can continue that,
I don't think Mac Brown has ruled him out for the season.
No,
because it's a broken toe.
Yes,
is what it is.
So he's had surgery, I think a day or two ago.
Last week.
Something like
last
that.
Week.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah. So last week. So he had his surgery. He said, now, if he comes back, it'll be in the later part of the year, which honestly, you're going to need him because later part of the year is Duke, Clemson, and NC State.
See, we're talking 4 to 6 weeks. So, I mean, Clemson, maybe. NC State, maybe.
Yeah. And you definitely need him in the ACC championship, given that you continue to win and get there as well.
I'm about to say, given that we make it, yeah.
Right. You still have to go out there. You still got to win. You're going to have to beat you're going to have to at least win 11 games, I believe, to get there. And that's just because of Louisville.
No, Louisville still has to play Duke. So, I mean, if Pittsburgh can beat Louisville, Duke can definitely beat Louisville.
Well, then you got to do it for, Duke as well. You got to at least beat Duke because Duke hasn't lost in the ACC yet. So they're technically still in the running.
Well, they got the win over this week.
Oh, I forgot about them playing Florida State. That's right. They do play
go
Florida
down
State this week. So, I mean.
They go down to Tallahassee this week.
Yeah, and I still believe they're going to be without Riley Leonard. I hope to see that kid back soon. He's a problem. I would rather not have to face him, but at the same time, I kind of would just because I want them to be on, clicking on all cylinders by the time we get down there. Get down to that game, which will be in 3 weeks. So,
4 weeks. 4 weeks.
3-4 week, basically. So yeah, looking forward to that matchup as always. But let's talk a little bit about the wide receiver room, man. This wide receiver room has been awesome, to say the least. Awesome. J.J. Jones has come out and he has established, like, hey, by the way, I'm a pretty doggone good receiver here. In that, especially in that Pitt game. I mean, dadgum, man, this guy's making catches, getting his little toe taps in. That's just awesome, dude. You gotta love the play that J.J. Jones has. Not only that, Nate McCullum's been having his couple of games where he's been really flashing and popping for the team. Devontae Walker, by the way, is a pretty solid football player. By the way,
okay.
Just in case anybody's wondering.
I mean, I wouldn't write home about it or anything.
Yeah, I mean, 3 touchdowns, in his first true week back.
It's only 132 yards. It's no big deal.
Yeah, out of I forgot how many receptions he had.
6
in that game. So 6, half of them touchdowns, 132 yards total. I think he's a pretty solid guy.
It's no big deal.
Bryson Nesbitt's still getting some big time catches right now. Copenhaver finally starting to get back, after that hand injury or that wrist injury or whatever it was. Gavin Blackwell, we haven't really saw him too much since he got cracked against Minnesota right in front of me. But he'll be coming back in.
I think they're saying he's still working his way back in. Yeah, he cleared protocol, but he's probably still just taking his time working himself back in.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think North Carolina's in a huge rush to get him. I think that North Carolina's got themselves in a really good spot right now, and I'll say that because of this. Think about it. There are no mid-season acquisitions in college football. It's not like, we're the Tar Heels. We got to go get a guy right here before the trade deadline, and you go get a trade. No, you don't have that in college football. You get your guys before the season, and that's what you ride with to the end of the season. But North Carolina went out. North Carolina went 4 games, won first 4 games, and said, you know what, man, we need another guy. And they got, just Tez Walker in. Decided to add him in. Yeah. Not only that, you've had guys in and out so far. John Copenhaver really hasn't been a big part of the offense since, week 1, maybe week 2. Now you just add that guy back in. Kobe Paysor, give him where you are in a few weeks when he comes back. You just add that guy back onto the team. North Carolina is winning games without guys, and they're just adding them back into the roster like it's nothing. That right there is a great position. If you're North Carolina, if you're able to do this, if you're able to go out and win games, big time games. Miami's a big time game. I don't care what anybody says. Miami's a big time game. They're a good team over there. Yeah, they had a blunder last week, but they're a good team. They're a very good team. They're a lot better than we give them credit for, just because Miami's just been Miami and Mario Cristobal's been Mario Cristobal. We understand that. But North Carolina has really put themselves into a position where they should definitely be looked at nationally, and they should really begin to get some national attention. And to see that the disrespect still kind of being there, One, I like it for the team because the team seemingly has still got that on the back of their minds. Like, you know what? We're going to show you. We are going to show you. And you love that. You love that, the attitude, that mentality. But North Carolina's got themselves in a really good position considering they're 6-0. These next 3 weeks, you should be some easy weeks. Now, I understand that Georgia Tech game sits in the middle of these in the three. And that'll be a fun game just because that's a Georgia Tech team that, once again, is just a pesky little team. And if you're not careful, can and will beat you. And they've got to go down there and they've got to handle business.
Miami.
Now, yeah. They're just a team that just wrecks people and wrecks people's seasons. So, they've got to go down there and they got to win that game. But you got Virginia this week, which we'll talk about at a certain point in time, probably a little bit later on in the week. And then you've got Georgia Tech, and then you got Campbell. These 3 weeks should be 3 easy wins. And then you sit, if you go out here and get the 3 wins like you should, you're 9-0 going into Duke. You control your destiny from there. Duke's going to be a hard team to beat. Defense has played great over there. Then you got Clemson on the road. You're on the road against Clemson. That's a hard team to beat. Death Valley, we already know what that's all about. Then you go back, and now that NC State game looks a lot better than it did. Originally you're thinking, oh, it's NC State. But, now North Carolina can at this point. I think they should go in there and probably win kind of big, in my opinion. That's just me. But, North Carolina really controls their destiny. And for them to be getting the wins that they're getting, quality wins, they're the only team right now I think, as a matter of fact, they are the only team through the first 6 weeks who's played 5 Power Fives and won by double digits in each of those games.
Yep, that's great.
Only team to do that. That's amazing. That's great. What are your thoughts, Mr. Allen?
Thoughts on what?
On this team and where they sit right now.
It's a good start. You're halfway through. You won the game you're supposed to win. Then the big game was against. Everybody knew the big game was against Miami. It was a big win, but that game could have went either way. At the same time, Miami fumbles 2 inches closer to the goal line. That's a touchdown. Then Miami's up 14-7, or 14-7 at that time. Then they kick that field goal. Then you're looking at the possibility of being down 24-7 at that, or 24-14, given that North Carolina scores another one going in. So then Miami's driving in the third quarter, then loses the snap. That could have ended that 24. I think North Carolina scored 24 unanswered points in the second half. So that could have ended that. So that couple plays that or not counting the fumble that Drake May got when Drake May got obliterated in the end zone. That ball just literally was laying in our end zone. And then just so happens that the same person that missed the blindside block runs around and picks it up and runs it back to the line of scrimmage. So that's 14 points right there. If you count the fumble that was 2 inches short of the goal line and the fumble that Drake May lost in our own end zone, that's 14 points. North Carolina on the 1-10. So that could have easily been a 4-point win for Miami. North Carolina didn't play a whole complete game. They played a good third quarter, and the third quarter was enough to get them over. Because that fourth quarter, when you're up 41-17 at that point, when you're up 41-17, you can't get beat deep. You just can't. There's no reason to bite on the double move. You just can't get beat deep in that point and give up that free touchdown. And then the one blown coverage where I think Power Echols was responsible for Restrepo, and Restrepo ran that little wheel route to the sideline. It was just wide open because he got picked by the 2 wide receivers running inside slants, and Restrepo was just wide open and walked into the end zone. Those are 2 blown coverages. I'm not sure North Carolina get it cleaned up. But that game, again, that game shouldn't have been if North Carolina was going to win, it shouldn't have been a 10-point win. It should have been a 21, 24 type point win. If you're going to, because, I mean, in the end, North Carolina only scored 7 points off, well, we'll say 3 turnovers because the fourth turnover happened with 0 time left on the clock. So only scored 7 points on 3 turnovers. And the other 2 turnovers, I mean, one of them was close to the end zone. And they ended up having to get drove all the way back and having to punt it away. So, I mean, they got a lot to clean up. I mean, but a win's a win.
That's good to say. Yeah, about to say that's good to say. A lot to clean up at 6-0. I'll take that. You know, I really like that position right there, going into this week. Any standout players that maybe you didn't see coming so far this year?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna say one right now, Bo Atkinson. I love Bo Atkinson. That guy has really. I mean, he's come into. He's. You can see he's gotten bigger, but also he's setting the edge really well, man. And he plays with a lot of fire and intensity. And he's doing his job, and he's getting to the quarterback. Like, he is getting there. He might not always make the sack, but I'm pretty sure he does have. I think 3. I believe about 3 or 4 sacks already this year.
He got credit for that one where him and Miles Murphy. I thought they might have split the sack, but I think they gave Bo the entire sack in that third quarter.
Yeah, something along those lines. But, yeah, so far he has 2 sacks on the season.
Yeah.
2 sacks on the season. So, I mean, that's pretty good. I like Bo Atkinson myself. Personally, I think he's doing great. Any names that you want to throw out there?
Most surprised this season. I guess we could go Diego Pounds here. I mean,
why not?
Who saw a redshirt freshman, being the starting left tackle for UNC. So, I mean, I'll go Diego Pounds there because, I mean, he's done a pretty solid job, I think.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I have really thoroughly enjoyed Diego Pounds on the offensive line ever since he's come in. Willie Lampkin's another guy you got to throw in there that's just been absolutely a game changer. You can tell a difference for the offensive line when Willie Lampkin's not there, big time.
And, I mean, we got. But Miami really, really put some stress on that offensive line that first half.
Oh, absolutely. Which you kind of figured that they would.
And North Carolina shored it up in the second half, but it was touch and go there for a while with that offensive line and the protecting Drake.
And I've got one more I'm going to throw out there, Tayon Holloway. And the reason I'm going to put Tayon Holloway in that list is because at first, when the season first started, you looked at it and you was like, is he going to be good? Leggett was just doing what he can. Hey, Tayon was in great position a lot of the plays, but Leggett just went up there and got him. And then he was kind of struggling just a little bit more. But you can see over these 6 games, he has really, really started to mature and played a really good game this past weekend against Miami. I mean, against some stud wide receivers for Miami. Miami's got some people over there.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, those catches that Leggett had on Tayon, I mean, they were 2 of them. 2 of them are 50-50 balls. I mean, one of them is going either the wide receiver is going to make a spectacular you just got Moss, or what the cool kids say, you just got head top. It's going to be one of those type of catches, or the defender's going to break it and is going to be able to break it up. So I mean, 50-50, that's a coin flip. Unfortunately, those two big time catches against Tayon Holloway were coin flips, and he was in the right spot, and the ball, he wasn't able to break it up. So I thought he played a solid game. Leggett will definitely. I think Leggett definitely has the potential to play in the NFL. He'll be an NFL caliber receiver whenever he decides to go.
Yeah, he's definitely got the size for it.
But at the same time, Marcus Allen is a true sophomore. Tayon Holloway is a redshirt freshman who was hurt the majority, I think, last season. So, I mean, you got two youngsters holding down your corner. So, I mean, the more reps you can give them, the better they're going to be. So, I think that I think we're going to be fine on the corners, on the corner aspect. I mean, and even against Miami, it rained all afternoon and the field was slick, and the first two, the first couple of passes Tayon's way, he tried to plant to come out of his break to make the play on the wide receiver, and he slipped. But he didn't let it affect him mentally. He just kept coming out, and he had a big pass breakup on a deep ball over the middle, and I think the receiver he went up against and knocked it away was 6'6". So I mean, he's got all the ability in the world to be a good cornerback for UNC. It's just a matter of having the snaps under your belt to gain that experience. And he's got 6 games of it now. So
yeah, look, now let's turn the page a little bit. We've understood where the team has come from, where they began. We understand what the narrative was beforehand. How do you think North Carolina has changed the narrative? Have they changed the narrative? And where do you see this team projecting forward, knowing that the first half of the season is over? Now you have the back half coming up right now.
Oh, North Carolina is definitely being talked about. There was, I don't know if you saw it, but the Deion Sanders skit on Saturday Night Live. I mean, North Carolina was mentioned there. You got college football talking heads talking about UNC and the potential that the potential that UNC has going forward. If they continue to win, you got Drake May. North Carolina keeps winning, then of course Drake May's name is going to be further projected into the spotlight, and all the rewards and the awards come, with wins. So, I mean, I think North Carolina is starting to creep into the national conversation as far as the CFP, a dark horse that could potentially make it if all the chips fell right. But none of that means nothing if you don't continue to win the games if you don't win the games on the schedule.
Yeah, I think that's number one. And they start again, with the back half of the season this weekend against Virginia. A kind of a down Virginia team, to say the least, coming in to Chapel Hill. And then they go on the road against Georgia Tech, back home against the world-beaten Campbells, and then you got Duke at home, and Clemson on the road, and NC State on the road. So they've got a I would say an easier schedule now than what they started with. I personally, I think your first 6 games have been your hardest and will be your hardest. The back 6, I think, are outside of the 2 outliers that I have there is Duke and Clemson. Outside of that, I think the first part of the schedule, and this was completely the opposite way before the season, but for me, I thought the back half of the schedule was going to be the hardest part. But definitely looking at the first 6, I think the first 6 are definitely are your hardest games.
I think if you look at the first 6 as your hardest games, I mean, what the only team that provided a challenge in the first 6 games was Miami. I mean, there was no. I don't think any of the other 5 teams really posed. I mean, before the season, you look at them. Minnesota, South Carolina, Miami. Those are going to be tough. Appalachia State, they posed a significant threat, but that's just an in-state rivalry that it was either going to be a blowout in favor of North Carolina or it was going to be what it was. So, but yeah, so I mean, the only hard game on the first half of North Carolina season, was going to be Miami, and the score doesn't tell the whole story. But I mean, I think North Carolina thoroughly handled Miami for the majority of the game.
Mm-hmm. The reason why I say the first half is because of the defenses that you faced and the ability to change. Now South Carolina did not pose as much of a threat as we thought they would. They are not the team they were last year. That is an understatement. You were, going into that game, it was a much more hyped game, and I think it should have been. The way it turned out, I think it should have been, hyped the way that it was. Now, I don't think we was expecting South Carolina to be the way they were, but yeah. App State, you need that game. And the reason you need that game is because it is an in-state rivalry. It's a group of 5 team that has shown that they can go compete against people and top tier teams and just give them a run for their money. And you need that game. You need an emotional game like that, a game of a team that's just they are coming for blood against you, and they're going to do whatever they can, and they're going to throw all these different looks, and they know all your weaknesses, and they're just going to come at you with everything they got. You want that game, and you want to beat that game, and they did that. And I think that was a big growing game for North Carolina, because also they kind of came into that game a little lackadaisical through practice and everything. Then you have week 3, a Big Ten team with a great defense, a very, very solid defense. Now, their offense isn't, world beaters. We understood that. But I think it was important for the offense to get rolling in that game. As a matter of fact, Drake hasn't thrown an interception since that game, by the way. 2 interceptions against South Carolina, 2 against Minnesota, nothing else since. Hopefully it stays that way. Mm-hmm. Also, you get that Pittsburgh game in. That back, and we know that rivalry, that back and forth, the physicality that you're going to get, the different looks that you're going to get from them. And sure enough, it was physical, man. They came down there and they did whatever they could to, punch you in the mouth, and you punch back. You got these really, and then you had Miami and everything that came for it. You had these gritty games in the first 6, against teams that have been proven to be able to play at a high level, teams that don't like you very much at all. They're emotional games, revenge games, in-state rivalry. You have all those things. That's why I look at these first 6 and say yes, because in Virginia, are you really going to get that? The oldest rivalry in the South hasn't lived up in the past few years, to say the least. I think the last time it was even somewhat decent was 2, maybe 3 years ago now, give or take. And it was somewhat decent. Virginia came into had a good team 21, but North Carolina, quite frankly, just ran that game, scored 59, had a good time, won by 20. Something along those lines.
North Carolina showed up for that game finally.
Yes.
But before that game, Virginia had won 4 straight.
Okay, so it had been 3 years since that game, and then Virginia just completely dove, and just they've fallen off a cliff big time, which is unfortunate for them. I think they'll be back sometime, but maybe not anytime soon. But also, then you look at Georgia Tech. Now that's going to be the fun game. That right there is going to be the game that is going to be the most interesting, just given the game and how it has went over the past few years. Now, I do believe that North Carolina goes out and wins that game and probably wins big. I just kind of have that feeling, with this team. But, you'll see how it goes. Then you got Campbell. That's a game you should – I'll be kind of upset if North Carolina is going to score 60, quite frankly. They need to.
Well, I don't think they need to score 60. I don't think Chip Lynch's offense is an offense that scores 60.
They might want to be. I don't want this much. I want Connor Harrell playing. I want Connor Harrell playing the next 3 games. That's what I want. I want Connor Harrell to play the next 3 games, because they should have done it against Syracuse, and they really did it until like a few minutes left to go in the game. Connor Harrell needs to get to play. Well, I want that kid on
at the same time. You don't know if Connor Harrell's going to be your quarterback for next season.
you got to prepare for it, and you'd kind of expect that's who it is, because no one else is going to be the heir apparent unless Michael Merdinger comes in and all of a sudden plays well, or Tad Hudson has a great offseason. But right now, the way it is Connor is set up to be the guy. That and not only that, in case something actually does happen to Drake, you need a guy that's got some snaps on him, like got a good amount of snaps on him. And in these games in which you can't always pencil in blowouts, when you get them, you need to put those young guys in, not just Connor, other guys. Put in a Chris Culliver, put in some Andre Green Jr., put in some of these guys, Christian Hamilton. I don't know if they redshirted or put on scout team Jordan Louis or not. They may have. I really don't know. But, put in, Elijah Green seemingly is redshirting.
He's redshirting.
So,
he won't play again unless injury.
Right. So we'll see how that goes. But, put in Caleb Hood. Put in Jordan Louis if you absolutely can.
Caleb Hood got run in the Miami game, and they didn't go anywhere.
Right. So just, put in some guys if they get some. I think over the next 3 games, they need to get some blowouts here. Starting this week with, last year, North Carolina, Virginia should not have been a close game like it was. But it was. So North Carolina's got to come out. And I like what Cedric Gray had to say in his player interview today, where he started talking about how, just because they're, in a down year doesn't mean they don't pose a threat to us. And we got to come out there with the same intensity as we did, any other game this year, and actually even better. I like that. Keep that edge on you, because the second you do get complacent, and what a problem that North Carolina has had over the past few years is not being able to handle prosperity. And so far, they're being able to do that. Now they got to continue it. They've got some teams coming up, and 2 teams, in Duke and Clemson, which, by the way, that Clemson game has been chalked up as pretty much a 50-50 game right now by ESPN. So curious to see there. But also, who knows? I like that game. Duke, we're still heavily favored against Duke, which, I don't know. I don't know how good Duke really is, personally. I really don't know how good they really are.
No, you're heavily favored. You're probably the odds on that game probably switched when Riley Leonard got hurt. So if Riley Leonard,
now I've kept an eye on it. We've been heavy favorites on it all year. Like, even after Duke beat Clemson, we were still favored 65%.
I don't know. It was probably just because it's at home, and North Carolina's won 2 in a row, but they've won 2 in a row. But at the same time, they've both been close. So I don't see how you can call that up.
That last year was close. The year before that was not. It was a blowout.
Yeah, whatever. Last year, that's the only year that matters, because that was Riley Leonard's first. So
yeah. So I don't know, man. I look at the team. I like the team where they're sitting right now. I think they're sitting in a really good spot, personally.
Those are rivalry games. It's an App State type game. They don't like each other, and I don't care how bad NC State is. That NC State game will still be, NC State's going to get up for that game. Rivalry games are rivalry games for a reason. Every both teams have a fight. It's got a puncher's chance in that game.
I'm gonna take heavy. I'm gonna take North Carolina heavy in that one, personally. I just don't see it. They could prove me wrong, but I don't see it. Shoot, not right now. Now not how that team's playing. Don't know what happened to them. Really don't know what's happened to them. They've seemingly just kind of fell off a cliff there. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about over the coming weeks. We got basketball coming up soon, dude. We are less than a month away from the official tip-off of the UNC basketball season, as they tip off against Radford, I believe it is, on November the 6th or the 9th.
I know their exhibition game is 1 week from Friday.
And that's against who again? I forget exactly who it's.
Somebody in state.
Probably like a UNCC or something like that. I'm not really sure, but lots to cover over the next coming weeks. We've got some things coming up and going on. Be sure and let us know in the comments below what is the most surprising thing that you saw out of North Carolina Tar Heels you did not expect before the season began. Be sure and comment down below. Let us know for sure. Alan, any closing comments to finish us up for tonight?
Oh no, I was looking to see who North Carolina was playing in the NCAA.
In the exhibition game.
Yeah, closing thoughts. North Carolina's undefeated. It doesn't show the expedition game. It says their first game is November the 11th against Radford. So
11th. And it was in November.
Yeah, November the 11th against Radford is the first official game. But
November 6th. 11-6.
Yeah, 11-6, whatever. Yeah, November the 6th. But they have the exhibition game 1 week from tomorrow, and the quote-unquote secret scrimmage is this weekend from what I've been hearing.
Who was it that they're playing again in the secret scrimmage? Like FAU or something like that?
Yeah, they're ranked. They're actually ranked ahead of North Carolina in the top 25.
Yeah, quick thoughts before we get out of here. What do you think about North Carolina's ranking at 19?
I mean, where would you rank them?
Personally, I like 19. Personally. I actually like the 19 spot. Because 19, it's kind of like in, football. This year we got ranked 21. It's a good spot that, you're getting some recognition.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic. That's who supposedly the secret scrimmage is with. And they are ranked 10th.
Wow.
Quick rundown of the ACC components that are ranked. Duke 2.
Miami 13. That's it.
Miami 13. North Carolina 19. And that's pretty much it. But North Carolina has to play Connecticut and New York.
Tennessee.
Tennessee comes to UNC. I'm pretty sure they have a run-in with Villanova, Kentucky and Atlanta. Villanova is ranked 22nd. But, then they got to play Michigan. Do they got to play?
There's a chance they play Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
Yeah, a chance they play Michigan, and because they have to beat Oklahoma in the Jumpman Invitational, and then Michigan's got to win their game, and then they would face Michigan if they make it.
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to learn you'll learn a lot about this basketball team in the first 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, by the end of November, not November, at the end of December, you're really going to know a lot about this team because they will have faced Tennessee, UConn, Kentucky, and then the Jumpman Invitational with Oklahoma starting out, and then whoever they would face if they win that game, whoever they would face in that second game out of Michigan and someone else. I forget who it is, but
yeah,
there's a lot to be learned about this North Carolina basketball team. I like the ranking of 19. I think it's a proven ranking, not nothing too hyped like you got last year with number 1. And obviously that was wrong.
Obviously.
But, I think it's a really good proven spot for them, and I think they'll do a good job. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. We'll dive deep into that in the basketball season and the transfers that are in and the early commit and everything that's going on with the basketball team. As basketball is very quickly arriving. Very quickly arriving.
Exhibition a week from Friday. And the secret scrimmage is this weekend.
So looking forward to...
Don't tell nobody it's a secret.
Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. A lot of MLB baseball going on. The Phillies are up in the game.
Oh, I cannot stand the Phillies. Oh, my God.
I don't really care for Philadelphia to begin with. Like the Eagles, the Sixers.
No, it's the Phillies and the Dodgers for me, so...
Oh. Well,
Phillies and the Dodgers, bro. They're the Braves' nemesis.
Well, you go enjoy some baseball.
I'm not even watching it. The Braves got eliminated by the Phillies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Braves, the best team in baseball, but can't even win a postseason. Their first 5-game series against the Phillies. Best team in baseball. That's neither here nor there, but whatever.
Drink up, brother. We're gonna get out of here. We thank you all for watching. We thank you all for being here.
Woohoo!
And I was getting ready to say for Tori, I'm Nathan, but that's not.
For Tori, I'm Alan, and go Hills!
Oh man, go Hills, man.
Go Hills.
You don't want none.
I'm good, I was deed, I died, I was deed, I was dying, I was deed, I died, I was deed, I was dying, I was deed, I died, I was deed, I was dying, I was deed, I died. I'm good, I was deed, I died, I was deed.
Also, if you like real sports and like to talk all sports over there, be sure to hit up the For Tori I'm Nathan channel, youtube.com/For Tori I'm Nathan, and we'll see you all next time.
No free ads.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of For Tori I'm Nathan. It's
It was a girl. With cookies on.
Am I going to Girl Scout cookies or am I going to hear the sirens? You can,
You think they heard the sirens?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is this, man? What is this? What did you do?
I don't know, man. Show the
What
world.
did you do, man?
Show the world.
What
Show
did
the
you
world.
do?
I didn't do nothing.
It is time for Tori I'm Nathan to separate and go on its own. It is time for it to finally have its own home channel with its name right there at the top.